where I'm going to be breaking down both the lore and gameplay mechanics of Ark Raiders. And before we dive in, I do want to make one thing clear. I genuinely love this game, and that's honestly a big part of why I want to make this video in the first place. When a game like this has so much personality, it makes the little gaps and inconsistencies just all that more noticeable. Now, Ark Raiders at its core is a PvPvE extraction game where robots called Ark came from somewhere and forced all humans underground, and now they live in this place called Speranza. You play as a raider, one of the brave or possibly reckless people that decide to go to the surface and scavenge for resources. You take on missions, quests, all with the goal to gather resources to help, better yourself and grow the community of Speranza. You can either decide to work together with other raiders to complete your goals, or in the end betray them and steal all of their loot, which is honestly the funnest part about this entire game and the funnest part about most extraction shooters like this. The game blends survival, combat, strategic resource management, all while telling an amazing story through the environment and missions and certain dialogue with NPC characters, which I honestly really enjoy. I'm glad they stepped away from a basic scripted campaign and decided to follow this narrative instead. And like I said before, the game's main selling feature is its proximity chat. You can talk to absolutely any raider you come across, either creating treaties or deciding and setting them up to betrayal, or you can just kill them right on the spot. It's up to you, really, but you're a jerk if you do that completely. You're a terrible person. This is what makes the game fun, and the main reason it blew up online. People share their funny moments, great combat, or, strategic strategies against the Ark, or even, Burnt Peanuts war trailer, which I saw earlier today. And all of that combined just creates an amazing community and honestly an amazing game. I absolutely love it. Now, the storytelling approach is actually really interesting because it forces you to pay attention to everything. Ruined cities, abandoned settlements, radio chatter, and even the Ark themselves all play a part in telling the story. Absolutely nothing is really handed to you on a silver platter, and that's a big reason why I really enjoy this game too, is because it actually respects your intelligence. It leaves you enough room to assume and theorize rather than just giving you all the answers, which is, always the better option. And at the same time as respecting your intelligence, it also gives you a lot of theories that I get to dive into in this video. But before I dive into the environment and some lore that you can find in the environment, I want to talk about the biggest issue I'm personally noticing with the game as it is today. And that issue would be, of course, the desync issue going on. It is absolutely terrible. You could be in a gunfight, standing behind a wall and still be getting shot because you are showing up somewhere else on your opponent's screen. Now, this doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it ruins the experience for players, and it makes people not want to even try combat because of this issue. No one wants to go into a fight that you have no control over if you die, or if you are a good player and you go to hide behind cover, but you still die anyways. It just feels extremely unfair and not fun, especially in a game where you can lose all of your loot off a basic bug like this. Now, the visual storytelling is really strong. Scorched roads, ruined buildings all tell the story of what happened before you arrived. Now, while the environment is amazing, this does lead to a lot of unanswered questions. Why is the Ark still here decades or years after humanity has already gone underground? And what is their ultimate objective with all of this? Are they collecting resources, maintaining control, or just simply following a program? The game clearly implies that they have a purpose, but it's never fully explained, and it's left to us to theorize. And now I do have two specific theories that I think are the strongest. Now, these theories for me are presented mainly through environmental factors that you can stumble across while playing the game. Now, the first theory is that the Ark are aliens, essentially, that came down from space and then just started attacking humans. Now, this one has a lot of holes. If the Ark came from space, who manufactured them in the first place? There's probably a higher power, an alien race that created these species to try to come down and overtake humanity. But I really doubt that, because this game doesn't really feel like it fits that vibe, if you know what I mean. This theory also doesn't clearly define their goals, and it makes it seem more like they're following a program from, someone else. So it's kind of just thrown it into the wind in a way. Now, my preferred theory is that they're actually machines already created by the human race to wage war against different countries or work in factories. Like, you actually can see some of the decommissioned robots on Stella Montis. And I think this is a extremely strong theory. And I also really like the idea that humanity caused its own demise, and now you have to try to fight back and retake the Earth. You know, technology advanced so far where it became harmful to humanity rather than helpful. I definitely think that that one is the more likely option. Someone is texting me. Okay. Now, humanity's survival is also a little bit vague. We know that a lot of people live in Speranza because of the intro cutscene that you see at the beginning of the game showing everyone in like the main town hall trading area, but it's left pretty vague if there's other civilizations out there, or if we're the only settlement, or if there are other factions of humans that are aggressive towards us. Now, there are hints of this through some dialogue with some missions that I've noticed, specifically with radio towers and some Ark that are destroyed, but it's a mystery how they're destroyed. Now, of course, I believe this is kind of like the whole point. It's supposed to be left up to a mystery, and it's supposed to be left up to interpretation, so they might be able to add it in later updates to, you know, improve the game. But, you know, I really hope they do. I really hope they do. I think it'd be a really cool idea. Sorry to interrupt the video, but if you are enjoying it, I would like you to like and subscribe for me. I only have, I think 200 something subscribers right now at the time of making this video, and I'm on the road to 1,000 right now. So if you do that for me, it's really appreciated. I hope to be monetized one day, so yeah. Anyways, back to the video. Now, the weather also adds a really fun layer of immersion. Visually, it's fantastic, and it also affects how the Ark interact with us, the player, and different loot spawns that we can stumble across. But one thing here that I do have to point out that's a little bit confusing to me is why all of a sudden when it's raining is there just more loot? Now, most of the time these weather events are just plain rain, or it's also thunderstorming, and they're typically during night raids, which during night raids there is more loot because there's less people hunting for it, lore wise, according to the game. But that doesn't make much sense to me, because if it's nighttime, wouldn't everyone would have already gathered the loot the morning before? And that leads me to the idea, why is there always more loot every single day? So lore-wise, there's of course a little bit of a gap there, but that is just for gameplay convenience reasons. Even with all these issues, the world still has great personality. The main different maps, the Dam, Stellamontis, Spaceport, Blue Gate, the Ruined City, Burnt City, I forget the name of it, gosh dang it, I'm sure I'm forgetting one, and the Shooting Range, all are vastly different, and I love that about the game, because Blue Gate is more open. You can use longer ranged weapons, and it's more nature combat. And the Ruined City, or the Burnt City, I forget the name, you use more close combat weapons inside buildings, you know, shotguns, Stinger, Stitchers, all kinds of stuff. And, you know, and then there's the Dam, which is a mixture of the two, because they have the big facility buildings that you can fight inside, and then the open parts like the scrapyard. And it just adds so much to the game, and I absolutely love it. Now, one thing I would love to see in future updates is, of course, more maps. We need more environments, because after a while, even though they are amazing, it will eventually lead to a little bit of burnout, which is my biggest fear, because whenever I find a really good game that I enjoy, it always ends up leading to burnout. My favorite example is Minecraft, of course. You know, the 2-week spurt that you play and then you burn out with your friends, because yes, they add new things through updates, but those updates don't feel substantial enough to really get anything out of it, for example. And I don't want this game to fall into that same trap. Now, I'm sure the developers already know that and they're working on it, so I'm not worried about it, but I am really excited to see what they do with the game, because I know through a few dev blogs that they have talked about certain improvements and stuff like that. Now, I also do want to talk about the trading system. They have also mentioned that the trading system inside of Ark Raiders won't be a thing. I saw this online. I don't know how accurate this is, but I saw this on TikTok, so it might not be true. But I saw on a dev blog that they do not plan on implementing a trading system with other raiders within the game. So the only way to trade is through player interaction within certain maps, which keeps that level of risk, because you still have to extract with the weapons that you get, which I kind of like. But at the same time, if you're playing with your buddies and they need a specific resource that you have, it's a bit annoying to have to load into a map, drop them the item, then put them in the safe spot, and then extract right after. It just feels like a waste of time. I'm not a huge extraction shooter guy. This is one of the first extraction shooters that I've actually ever played. So I don't know if there's been other games that have implemented a trading system and it has kind of fallen flat. and people don't really like that, specifically Tarkov. I don't know if Tarkov has a trading system, but I know a lot of people would like to see a trading system, me included. Now, moving on to the Arks, their design is one of my favorite things about this game. They look really cool and they have a really wide variety. The only complaints I have is honestly, some Ark die way too easily, like the spiders, right? They almost just feel like more of an annoyance than a danger, to be honest. And I'm sure if you're in a gunfight with another raider that they become a big issue. And I get that that's the point a little bit, but I don't feel like they need to be everywhere because they're in random attics in the buried city map. I feel like they mainly need to be in high loot areas, but that's just my opinion. They can be a little annoying. I don't like them. They're annoying spiders, but I guess that is the entire point. I also do got to point out, lore-wise, I'm curious, do all the Ark work together? Are they one unified hive mind in a way? For instance, if one Ark notices you, do all the Arks get alerted to that? I don't think so, because from my experience when I play the game, they also have to be in the same proximity, and they have to like get they hear the other alarm of the Ark go off, and then they kind of follow them over. Also, I wonder if there's a hierarchy of power. You know, the Hornets answer to the Bastions, and the Bastions answer to the Queen, and the Queen and the Harvester answers to the Queen, and stuff like that, which I'm sure there is. They're kind of setting it up that way. But if it is that way, why? You know, it might be an alien force, or it might be human-made system, which doesn't make much sense, because if it's a human-made system, if we were to bring them into war, they would most likely answer to us, not each other. So I guess that could be a programming flaw. And now I also know that the Ark's creation seems to be automated factories, right? Because you kill an Ark and automatically they get replaced from the sky. So it almost seems like they are being manufactured in factories constantly by maybe those rogue robots that we saw on Stella Montis. I'm just guessing, which would be really cool to find out. It almost seems like the Ark were made with the sole purpose of being a self-sustaining organism in a way, because they're able to reproduce, which again makes me wonder how the Ark even run these factories in the first place that are sending more Ark in, or if it really is an alien entity, and I might be wrong. I don't know. I'm just assuming. I haven't done much research on this. Don't kill me in the comments. Also, the AI of the drones is a bit inconsistent. For instance, they can see you through bushes half the time, and then the other half the time they can't. And like if you hide behind a stick of a tree, they can't see you. But if you are behind cover completely with a rock, they can see right through it. I know this is an issue that the devs have actually recognized in the 1.4 update, and they say that they're working on it, so that's a good thing. But that is just one of the little issues that I've found playing the game the past few weeks. Still, despite all of that, the combat is amazing. The tension there with the risk of fighting Ark and fighting other raiders is still awesome. I absolutely love it, so nothing really takes away from the game at all, to be honest. It's still great. Now, where Ark Raiders really shines is, of course, its gameplay loop. From the moment you step up topside, it is clear that you are no longer the top of the food chain. You're a raider that is lightly equipped, trying to pack light so you don't lose a lot of items as the player, and at high risk of dying almost instantly until you have, top tier loot. It's this tension that makes every run thrilling and fun, and it really helps it, retain its interest, because no run is going to be the exact same. It's really fun, especially when you play with your friends. That is when the game is at its full peak, I would say. Now, while you're looting, the inventory system is going to be either your biggest ally or your biggest liability. Depending on what kit you use, you can only hold so many different items in a storage space system, but the game also uses a weight system. Now, I really like this because it keeps the game interesting, so you can't go up and just get a crap ton of loot, have everything you ever need for like a bunch of runs, then go back underground. Every run, you still need to get some basic resources along with the rare stuff that you can find through using door keys and stuff like that. Speaking of door keys, people have been finding ways to glitch themselves into these rooms, which has been a really big issue, because when you go up to the room, you can, use your door key on it. Makes it seem like you use it, you lose your door key for one, so it's a waste, and by the time you get inside, all the loot's already been taken, there's someone in there, and they shoot you and kill you instantly. So to fix that, the devs have actually started putting like fire traps inside of these loot rooms. So if anyone tries to glitch inside of them, they die instantly. And I love this because it also fits in with the lore, because now you can kind of think of it as the key card not only unlocks the door, but it also disables the traps, and it works lore-wise and game mechanic-wise. So it's beautiful. Great change, great stuff. Now, extraction will make or break your run. Once you call the elevator or air shaft, it takes a long time to reach the surface, and while it's doing that, it's blaring alarms and flashing lights that not only track other Ark, but also attract other raiders, which, you know, game mechanically, it's supposed to add more tension. It's supposed to be really intense at the end. You know, you might lose everything or you might escape with it all. It gets your heart racing. But lore-wise, that makes no freaking sense. Why would they blare alarms like that? They know the Ark are attracted to sound, and it only raises the danger. They could easily disable those systems from the security office or something like that. It's really just, it's dumb. You know what I mean? Lore-wise, those humans are stupid. Also, not to mention, a lot of raiders or players have been actually camping in these extraction zones. So you go loot the entire game and they just sit there and kill you when you're already weak from fighting Ark and other players and you're almost out of heals. They go ahead and pick you off and take all of your loot, which is extremely annoying. And if you want to play the game that way, you can. I guess it's up to you, but you are a terrible person. And I want you to know that. And I have no clue how you have fun playing the game sitting in a bush for 20 minutes waiting to kill one person. It sounds miserable, and you sound like you don't have a life. Also, one really cool thing that I would maybe like to see is an upgrade system for these extractions. You know, maybe a way you could upgrade your security clearance in a way, so they're like, oh, this guy's more important, so they send it up faster or something like that. Now, lore-wise, of course, that would raise some issues, but it would add another layer to the game of stuff you can upgrade, so more progression and stuff like that, which is always good. I need a drink. Man. Now, Speranza, once you return, is your central hub for trading, recycling, selling, buying, everything. You also can get mission briefings there. You can buy new lore, customize your raider, and spend your skill point trees on your skill tree. Also, not to mention our amazing chicken friend Scrappy that gets us nice basic resources every run, which you can upgrade to get you more and more resources, which I have him on level 3, 2 or 3 right now, I think. Now, I love these missions that they provide for you, but they can sometimes feel like they're lacking behind in rewards, I would say. By the time I've completed a lot of these missions, I've already gotten these items that they will give me, and I honestly have better items than what they're going to give me, so in a way, kind of feels pointless. Now, it's still fun because it gives you incentive to play the game, you know, it gives you rewards, and eventually you will get advanced items from doing this, and you can end up completing all the missions available right now and get some lore behind it and stuff like that. So there are benefits to doing it, but personally I feel like the rewards should be a little bit better, and maybe, you know, even making the challenges a little bit harder, because a lot of them are really easy and kind of boring and feel like more of just a boring gameplay loop in a way, I would say, rather than an actual challenge. And along with the rewards, they do gradually increase in difficulty as well. Now, this again is another one of my favorite parts about Ark Raiders, and that is the recycling, trading, and selling system. So every run, when you return back to Speranza, you can empty your backpack into your main stash, I would say. And certain items you can recycle to break down into less valuable items, I would say, but you can use them to craft on your crafting stations. Now, some items you can sell. You can sell any item, but some items are specifically meant to be sold, which gives you money, which you can use for the traders to buy advanced weapons, attachments, and arguments, stuff like that. Now, you also have the crafting stations, which you can use to craft the more advanced weaponry. I absolutely love this. It gives every run a purpose and helps create long-term goals, so you want to keep coming back to the game, and it helps reduce burnout. Now, also, each of the vendors have their own personality, which I absolutely love. Instead of just being a boring storefront, they've added characters, you know, faces to it, and these same people are actually the ones that give you your mission briefing. This system is amazing, and honestly, I only have one complaint. When sorting my inventory, inventory, I wish there was a tab specifically for resources that are meant to be recycled. Instead, you have to kind of sift through it all to find the ones labeled can be recycled into crafting materials, which is a bit annoying and takes a lot of time. Now, I know it's not that cut and dry because some of those same resources can be used in crafting benches, but if it's really that important to you at the time, you could, track those resources. So I do still think it should be implemented, just a small change that would really help me out and save me a lot of time. Now, combat-wise, the game is amazing. You have to target specific parts of the Ark to take them down, and these are their specific weak parts. For instance, on the drones, it's their turbines, and for some of the crawlers, it's their knee joints or their leg joints that are highlighted yellow. This is great because it separates an average player from a good player, because you have to learn where all of these weak points are, and now it's not that hard to learn them, but it just adds another level to the game it's satisfying when you shoot the right place and you cripple the robot. It's like, dang, I hit that shot. It's the same feeling of like getting a headshot on an opponent, but with the robots or the Ark. Now, the game also has specific boss encounters or events. For example, today there's this harvester event going on where the harvester will appear on a map and you can go and try to take it down if you want. Now, I love these events, but I do wish that maybe the people of Speranza could have a reaction to this in a way. Like, when you're loading in, maybe they're panicked or they're afraid or there's some specific mission briefing to try and kill it or something like that with rewards. Because there aren't really any rewards, you just get the resources that are from the Ark itself, which you don't need till way later on in the game. So for me, at the point I am right now, I think I'm level 28. I don't really need those resources yet, so yeah, doesn't really feel purposeful to me. Either way, I still really like it because it adds variation, the same thing as the night raids and the thunderstorms and stuff like that. The guns feel really solid, but some can be a little bit overpowered. For example, the shotguns right now are amazing at close combat. I don't go out without a shotgun. I am a shotgun user. I'm not gonna lie, I abuse overpowered guns, I know. Specifically, the shotgun is really good against other raiders along with the Stitcher. That combo could fry someone just like that. Now, of course, the game is still new and fresh, so they're working on balancing all these guns because they need information on how the guns are used and, how players like them. So it'll be fixed in the future. I'm not worried about it. I also love the use of the quick slots where you can use, your stems, bandages, shield rechargers, grenades, stuff like that. And also the different levels of shields and modules also add another level of progression in there, which I like. And I also really love how the different modules have different benefits depending on which one you use. For instance, like the looting one has more safe pocket slots. The tactical one has more deployable resource slots, and the combat one has more grenade slots and stuff like that. I love it. It adds more customization to the game. It's great. Now, the progression feels pretty good. It's mainly based around resources that you have in your stash along with your skill tree, which you get a skill point every time you level up. Now, one issue I have here is I feel like the skill tree is a little bit not balanced very well. Let me just say that. The mobility portion, the yellow portion of the skill tree, is way more important than any other portion at the beginning of the game, and I will stand and die on that hill. I have like 20 something points in mobility and then just a few others scattered around, like maybe some breaching or some crouching stamina regen and stuff like that, because mobility is just that important in combat. At the beginning of the game, you run out of stamina like you're obese. I'm not gonna lie. And stamina is one of the most important things in combat in any situation against Ark or Raiders. So it's not really an issue, but I guess it also depends on how the player wants to play, if they want to be more combat or more sneaky. For most players who want to be more combat related, the mobility tree is a bit more overpowered for that. Even so, I really do like the progression and skill tree. It gives you a sense of reward for all the effort you're putting in. Even if you don't get that much good loot on a certain run, you're still getting good XP for killing Ark, fighting raiders and looting as well. So it still gives every run even more purpose, and I like that. That's all I got. That's everything wrong with Ark Raiders. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for me. I am on my road to 1,000 subscribers right now. Still got a really small channel, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.